I want to show you something that we do. You know, you got to be creative when you give gifts. I know the homeless guys sleep in this corner a lot, and so you can see that it's not electrical outlet. I usually have a screwdriver and wires and an electrical outlet that I put out there, but I'm running out of stuff. See, when my folks had the home redone, I don't know why the contractor ended up buying like a box with like 1,000 electrical outlets, and we have all these wires and stuff like that. And in what I would call my training, I got to find out what it was really like. You should try it sometime. Why don't you go out to like some area, even if you know the area, and go with no money, go with no wallet, no car, no transportation, no cell phone, right? And you think it's going to be easy. You think you'll use a payphone, which they are non-existent. You think that you'll just be able to go up to anybody who's like, you know, heading your way. Like, hey, are you driving to LA, or are you driving to Monterey, or are you just going down the street? Before you even get to say the words, they will say no into your face in a very rude way. And you'll be dressed nice. You won't even look like you're homeless. So when you start saying that like all these people are on drugs and crazy, which is what even the people who promote and help the homeless say, you know, they're obviously crazy and on drugs. Let me ask you a question real quick. All right, and I know you don't want to think about it and you don't want to deal with it, and that's my job, so I'll do it for you. Okay? Explain to me exactly how it is. Like, you know, people drink. There's like a lot of alcoholics out there. People have like all kinds of addictions, right? Okay, and drugs aren't necessarily that expensive. Like, you know, people don't use so much drugs. I mean, maybe me, where it's like $300 a day habits. They have jobs and stuff. Explain to me how drugs exactly put people out on the streets and homeless. I mean, have you never done drugs? Do they really drive people so crazy that they're out on the streets? Like the drug itself does that? You know, like meth, for example, it's a dirty drug. So I can see, like, you might want to go out and live out on the street, you know, or like heroin, you know what I mean? Like, you know, keep in mind, all these drugs, they always start as the upper echelons, like where the most money is. And then they go down to the middle class, then to the kids, then to the ghetto. So they don't start in the poor areas. So I just want to know, like, I know about the crazy lady who screams a lot, you know, and is it the homeless encampment? And that you know, that gives a bad impression to all the homeless people. Then you get these cats with all the signs, you know, the hippie guys. It's like, hey, bro, you got money, you know, this and that. But let me just tell you, I want you to go and try to see if you can find a ride. Like, you have money, you have credit cards, but you just don't have them with you. And watch what happens to you. Watch how they treat you. And it will humble you up, because you'll think, oh, I don't think I'm that cool. But you'll realize, no, you're not that cool. You're dirt. Like, no one will even talk to you. No one will give you the time of day. And you start realizing, no matter what you do, even if you have money and you offer them money, you say, I'll give you like a cab or something. I'll give you $100, man, if you can give me a ride. And you probably won't have $100, and they'll still say no to you. Now, let's say you have a cell phone and you need to charge it. Where are you going to charge it? Try going into a store and asking them, hey, can I just charge it for 5 minutes? If you're not buying food there, they're not going to, if you don't have your ATM card, they're going to say no. And that was probably the number one problem I ran into, where I had to sleep out on the street at night because my cell phone was dead and I couldn't get, I couldn't make a phone call even to Uber. Because remember, Uber only gets ordered via app, right? All right, and I didn't have any cash left. I either lost my cash or my bus pass gets lost. When you're out on the street, you lose stuff a lot more. You know, you can drop your keys in the house, but when you drop your keys out on the street, you're not going to find them. And what I noticed, which was I thought disgusting to me, was that we're talking about like not even a nickel's worth of a charge, and you've got people spending $10 putting padlocks on on any electrical outlet anywhere, like at the mall where they do Christmas lights. They'll put padlocks and weld plates onto these fucking electrical outlets. So I thought, I've always had this lesson, like when you don't know how to help. I don't give $1 and say, don't use it on drugs. I give $1 and I say, just use this to, for whatever makes you happy. Because you learn that. It's not about eating. The guy probably doesn't care about food. Just give him a smile. I don't care what he uses it on. Give some antidepressants. But I realized, like with gift giving, when you don't know what to give something to somebody that's creative and give it something that they can't get on their own. And so what happened to me when I went out and I did my experiment of trying to like be homeless and see what it's like, and where no one would help me. And I would say my number one thing was, a lot of homeless people have cell phones. A lot of homeless people don't really even have to be homeless. But, like I said, how do they get out on the street? It's because you people drive them out on the street. It's that attitude of, you're all crazy. You're either on drugs or crazy. And if you're on drugs, you're a pariah. You know, you can't be functioning in society. I don't care if you have a job and have money. If you're using drugs and you're out on the street. And so at that point, you're just classified as being someone that no one will deal with. So no one, I mean, it's almost like a law. No one can care about you. You got to keep that in mind. So even if you do have someone that cares about you, you got to use a power outlet. I put these electrical sockets and a screwdriver, and it's very easy for them to do. A little schematic, and all they have to do is connect two wires, the red wire and the negative wire, make sure they don't shock themselves, and an outlet. All right, and fuck these people. Come after me for a goddamn nickel's worth. What are they going to do? Plug in a hairdryer or plug in a washing machine? It's like no money whatsoever spent, and they want to spend that much money on locking up their electricity because they think that their electricity is getting stolen. That's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Especially when all of you out there like do all that preaching about how you want to help the homeless and things like that. You don't give a shit. You love joining the crowd that's basically like, oh yeah, they're all homeless because they're on drugs. They're all homeless because they're all crazy. Again, tell me, how does a drug put you on the street? Because, you know, not all alcoholics are homeless. Some alcoholics are millionaires. And alcohol costs money. Shit, I when I was doing drugs at times, there was more money. I would spend more money on alcohol than I would on drugs. So how do I get put out on the street? It's the social pressure of that. It's treating people like lepers. And I'm not saying people aren't crazy on the street. It'll make you crazy to be on the street. You have to be crazy on the street. And you'll find that out. Go out one day, just try it, I swear. You're not going to be like, yeah, I see what you mean. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be really shocked that people act that way towards you because they assume you're homeless. Because I've never acted that way towards anybody. And people that you think are nice, like, they don't even want to give you the time of day. Like, before you even get to talk, they will cut you off. And you can be dressed in a fucking suit. And they ain't giving you a ride anywhere. And you get scared because you start realizing, I am nobody. I am helpless. And so I said, well, you know what? I don't have a lot of money. I always give almost all the money I have away. Sometimes I don't make it home because I know the bus drivers know me. So I can talk my way onto the bus. So they can't. So I'll give all my money away to the homeless guy and then talk my way home on the bus. Because I know what they're going through. You know what I mean? And some guys, they don't want to take that shit. They don't want the money. They don't even care about the money. And people who go, here's the leftover food. Like, fuck that shit. Don't touch strings. They're not your slaves. Do what I tell you to do. Don't do drugs. Do this. All of this is 2019. If you haven't done drugs, if you don't know that experience, if you don't know someone who sells drugs, if you don't know someone who's had a problem from drugs, like a sister or a brother or a friend or a boyfriend or whatever, then you have not experienced shit in life. This is 2019, folks. And you're that much of a fucking virgin to the concept of a drug addict. Okay? I mean, like every fucking movie, it's a drug addict. And you want to act surprised, like, oh, good God, clutch the pearls, kick him out on the street, make him homeless, and then pretend like you're someone who cares. Like, you may even work in an area where, like, you help elderly people. Oh, you're so sweet. Or what do? Take care of kids and babysit all day? But the fact of the matter is you're a fucking cunt. And I never use that word. But you know it's true. Why? Because this guy uses drugs. Well, I wonder why. He probably fucking broke his heart. That's what happened. It drove me to drugs. But I never wrote to thank her. But I'm just saying, it's one of those experiments. And so what do? I mean, I can't do the money thing. I'm not going to do the backpacking, the blanket thing, and I'm not going to do, you got to be creative about it. And what I figured out was, you know what they need? They need some electricity to charge their phones because they do know people. They do have friends. They do have family. And it's amazing. They live off of a cell phone. People can pay for the cell phone. Most creative idea I saw, somebody bought basically to a health club. It's like $25, a month or like $100 a year membership to a health club. Would give that to the homeless person so they had a place to shower and a place to get cleaned up. Because some cats admittedly want to be on the street. You know what I mean? And they're totally normal. You hear these stories. I mean, none of these guys started off homeless. Almost all of them come from money. They had cars. They had wives. They had kids. And you think they're lying? Shit, look at me. I had it great. And now look at me. So obviously you fall down when you're up. So be careful what you say about how it can't happen to you, because eventually you will have to go through that class. That is a class you have to take before you graduate this earthly college, and it is a very humbling moment. Now, I'm not saying you're going to avoid having to take that class by going out and helping homeless people. I'm not saying go out and give out dollar bills to everybody. I'm not saying to do that. But what I'm saying is do something creative. Do something that you notice that they need help with. Like I've seen people do some really creative stuff. Like I've seen people come up to me and simply ask me if I needed a ride, just knowing by looking at how much I'm struggling that I've walked 18 fucking miles. And they just went out of their way and said, are you all right? Do you need a ride? I recognize you. You're a neighbor, right? And those are people that, I kid you not, I will never forget. I will never forget, because it's like they saved your life. And like, you joke around like that, like, oh yeah, you saved my life. No, but you're serious. No one else cares. When one person shows that they care and no one else in the world cares, it's a big fucking deal. So yeah, if you want to gain a popularity contest, if you want to do it just so, you're just doing that so that like you look good. You're just doing that so you look nice. I don't think the guy cares. But that's true with me. Someone asked me, do you ever give money to the homeless people? I said, yeah. I said, if I have $20 in my pocket, I usually give 10 bucks of it to the homeless guy who's sitting in front of the liquor store. And I say, here, whatever kills your pain. And I said, what's weird though? I said, if the guy's alone and there's nobody else around the liquor store, I'll give him the 20. And they said, why do you do that? Why do you give him the 10 otherwise, but you give him the 20 if no one's around? I go, because I don't want other people to think I'm giving him money just to show off in front of them, because that's what they do. Like, that's how irate I am at people out there. You're just all hypocrites. There's just so many hypocrites out there. Like, it's hard to be a rebel these days. And, I'm Gen Xer, so I just have to be a rebel. So it's like whatever anyone does, like, I'm such a dork. All I do is do the opposite of what everyone else does. And it's really not based on being a rebel. It's being based off of, like, I really don't like the things you guys stand for. Because you really, you make fun of the mainstream media, but you become the mainstream media. Like people like you really believe fentanyl is killing people. People like you don't know what Epicac is. Epicac is what they put in pills since the 70s. That if you take more than a few pills, sleeping pills, you will throw them up. So then you hear the rock star overdose, the guy from Soul Garden and all that. He overdoses on pills. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore. They don't need to pump your stomach anymore because there's Epicac in the pills. So when you read an article about how some rock star overdosed on pills, it's a fucking lie. That's how bad the lie is. Why? Because there's Epicac in it. Once it gets too much, I used to throw up the Vicodin all the time. I would have to pick the Vicodin up out of my puke, half melted, because I would throw up all the time. Why? Because there's Epicac in it. They have medicine in the pills so that you cannot overdose on it anymore. You'll throw it up once it gets to a certain level. But all of a sudden you hear some guy takes 2 fucking Valiums that used to be a heroin addict and he was the lead singer of fucking Soundgarden, and you fucking believe that shit. When he's married and happy with kids and he just got off of a 20-year heroin thing and he's been happy. You got to keep in mind, if you're going to make fun of people for using drugs and put them down for using drugs, at that point you are admitting one thing. They have a master's degree in that. So if you need a plumber, you call a plumber. If you need an engineer, you call an engineer. All right, if you want advice about what's really going on in the drug culture, ask people that have used it and know people who use drugs. You can't say, oh, you're an idiot. I don't want to listen to any of your opinion about drugs because you're a drug user. That's ignorant. That's ignorant. We're the fucking experts. The fentanyl thing, if anything, they're poisoning people with fentanyl. Fentanyl's not 20 times more. We would have been using fentanyl a long time ago if it was 20 times more potent than heroin. Trust me on that. It's an old drug. Peace to God.